After this week's deadly bridge collapse in Genoa, the Italian government has announced a nationwide inspection of aging bridges and tunnels. 39 people died when the bridge collapsed earlier this week, and that has put the issue of crumbling infrastructure right back into international headlines. Joining me now for a look at the situation here in Canada is Narasimhan, Professor of Civil Engineering at the University of Waterloo. Professor, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Ben.
So in 2006, 5 people died in the city of Laval when an overpass collapsed, and Quebec called an inquiry to look into it. Tell us what happened there.
So the inquiry found a number of reasons. I mean, some of them are related to engineering, and some of them are related to construction, some of them were related to maintenance. So as with anything else, any failure has more than one reason why that happened. And as it would come out, hopefully in Genoa as well, that there's more than one reason, a cascade of reasons that have resulted in this collapse. So that you cannot point to just that one object and say that was the reason this collapsed.
In Toronto, there's been a lot of concern about the Gardiner Expressway. It was built in the 1950s, as were many structures around the country. Has the way we use our infrastructure outgrown what it was built for? Are we putting pressure on it that it wasn't intended to bear?
Absolutely, and I think you've taken a great example. You look at Gardiner as we drive past it. Of course, visually it looks way worse than structurally how it is behaving. So structurally, obviously, it's sound. Otherwise, it would have been taken out of service. But you raise an important point. I think when designers designed this in the 60s and 70s, where majority of our bridges in Canada were built, you had certain projections of how the population would grow, i.e. how the traffic would grow over the coming decades. These bridges are supposed to last for 60, 70, 80 years. And then we are quickly seeing that all this growth we've been having in Canada and also worldwide is far more than what the projections have led us to believe when these bridges were initially designed and constructed.
Professor, let's go back to the bridge in Genoa. The architect who built that bridge also built other bridges, including one here in Canada. And here's a picture. This is the Kinnaird Bridge, also known as the Columbia Bridge in Castlegar. Should his work be looked at? Should our governments be paying attention and worrying about the state of those bridges?
Yes and no. There are a few more bridges that are very similar in the structural system characteristics to the one in Genoa. There's one in Venezuela. There's one in Libya. The one in Canada is actually a very different structural system. That's not a cable-stayed bridge. So if the system itself was responsible for the failure in Genoa, then I think that is not something we should be very concerned about for this particular bridge in Canada. But definitely the fact that this bridge is old, the fact that this bridge spans a river, and rivers are notorious for causing issues such as scour, which are very difficult to inspect. So definitely we should be taking a close look at this bridge, but we shouldn't jump to get all panicked that the same architect who was responsible for Genoa was also responsible here. So the same problems would somehow translate to this bridge, which I don't think is a direct correlation there.
Well, Professor, there's a lot of people with a lot of questions today, and we appreciate you answering some of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.